Hi there, it's Jen again from DaJen Eats. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to start our French Mother Sauces series. And we're going to look at Bechamel. That is a French Mother sauce that is a basic white sauce, I'll say. The first thing that you need to know about Bechamel is at the base of it, it's roux. It's a roux plus milk combination, and that's what makes a Bechamel. You would use Bechamel in a macaroni and cheese, for example. If you're making mac and cheese, you definitely make a Bechamel. The daughter sauce is Mornay, and that's simply made by adding cheese to your basic Bechamel sauce. All right, let's get started with the roux. The roux is a fat and flour, a fat and starch combination. To make the roux for Bechamel, a quick rule of thumb is 1 tablespoonful of butter, which is your fat, plus 1 tablespoonful of flour will be thick enough to make 1 cup of Bechamel. So you're going to add 1 cup of cream to that, and that will be thick enough for that. If you want it to be a little thicker, Bechamel, like something that you want to add to a lasagna, to bind it together rather than have it as a sauce consistency, you might want to make the roux a little bit thicker. So you'll add more flour or you'll add more butter, and that will make a thicker Bechamel. So we melt the butter or the fat. You could use bacon fat if you'd want. And we sprinkle over that the 1 tablespoonful of flour. We got to make sure that the fat completely coats the starch to make our roux. And the roux is really simple. In about 2 minutes, we will have what is called a blonde roux. And that just means you've cooked the roux for 2 minutes to get the starch completely coated in the fat. If you wanted something a little bit nuttier, you continue cooking the roux for another 2 minutes, and you'll have a brown roux. And a brown roux is thinner. The longer you cook the roux, the less thickening ability it has. But the longer you cook it, the nuttier it tastes. So it's up to you whether you want something really thick or something really nutty. For me, I like to use a blonde roux, which is just cooking the fat and the starch for a couple of minutes. And we let that stay for a little bit. And we'll talk some more about the Bechamel. The traditional way of making Bechamel is a 2-pot process. You put the milk in 1 pot and you temper it. That's basically making sure that the milk is close to the temperature of the roux. So we're starting out with cold milk and a very hot roux. So a lot of people would take a pot and start to heat the milk, but I don't do that. I hate washing up pots. I don't know about you, but I like to do everything in 1 pot as much as possible. So another way to temper the milk is to add small amounts at a time and wait for it to bubble, and then you mix it. That way, I'll go ahead and show you. Just let it go. That way you're essentially tempering the milk in the pot. When it starts to bubble, we start mixing. And don't worry if it's thick, it's gonna be that way. We just keep adding more milk. If the milk isn't properly tempered, that is, if you don't bring the temperature of the milk up to meet the temperature of the roux, your sauce will split. You might get some lumps, and it'll be something that's not very pleasant. So take the extra time to temper it. And this 1-pot method works. You just have to take your time and add a little bit of milk at a time. There you go. Can you see the bubbles? And you wait. You can use a whisk like I'm using. I'm actually using a half of a whisk. I broke the top off my whisk, but it still works. So I'm not going to get rid of it. Or you can use a spoon or anything that will completely coat the roux in the milk. That will work fine. We'll keep adding more milk. As we add more milk, you're going to notice that some of the lumps are worked out. Let the milk temper a little bit. And it's going to become a smoother sauce. So this has been simmering for about 10 minutes uncovered. If you cover it, you run the risk of bringing up the temperature a little bit too much. It'll start to burn, and that's when your sauce will split. You turn off the heat after 10 minutes, and you add a bit of salt, just a sprinkling. You can add pepper. Traditionally, you would use white pepper so you don't have the black specks in your sauce. But I'll tell you, I loathe white pepper. Don't ask me why. There's just something foreign and ungodly about it. I don't ever use it. So I always stick to my black pepper. But if you like white pepper and if you have it, feel free to use the white pepper in your roux so you don't have the little black specks. Another thing that a traditional roux has, and that's up to you, but it adds a lot of flavor, is nutmeg. Just a little shaving of fresh nutmeg will really brighten the flavor of the bechamel sauce. That's it. That's the French mother sauce bechamel. And as you can see, guys, there is nothing to it. So there should be nothing stopping you from making your bechamel the next time. Skip the box stuff. Oh, that is perfect. Skip the box stuff. When you go to the store, get your favorite cheese, go crazy, add some cheese to it, and make your own mac and cheese. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.